Welcome back to Think and Speak podcast, the place where English stops being a subject and starts being a skill. If you've ever understood English perfectly but struggled to think or speak in it naturally, today's episode is exactly for you.
That's right, Emma. Learning English isn't just about memorizing vocabulary or grammar rules. It's about training your brain to respond automatically, confidently, and clearly, just like native speakers do.
And today, we're diving deep into how you can rewire your thinking process in English, not translate from your native language. This lesson is modern, practical, and designed for real-life communication.
Before we begin, we have a small favor to ask. If you enjoy improving your English in a simple, intelligent way, hit the like button and leave a comment below. Tell us where you're watching from or which part of English you find most challenging.
Your comments help us shape future lessons, and they help this podcast reach more learners around the world.
So grab a notebook, open your mind, and get ready to train your brain.
This is Think and Speak podcast. Let's begin. Daniel, many English learners say they understand English when reading or listening, but their minds freeze when they try to speak. Why does this happen, and how can learners train their brains to think directly in English instead of translating from their native language?
This is one of the most common and important problems in language learning, Emma. The issue comes from translation-based thinking. When learners hear a question in English, their brains first translate it into their native language, then create an answer, and finally translate that answer back into English. This process is slow and mentally exhausting, which causes hesitation, silence, or panic. To fix this, learners must build direct associations between English words and meaning. Instead of connecting apple to a word in your native language, connect it to an image, taste, or experience. This is called concept-based learning. A powerful technique is inner speech training. Start narrating your daily actions in English. I'm making coffee. I'm opening my laptop. I need to reply to this email. Grammatically, these sentences use the present continuous tense, which is perfect for thinking in real time. This trains your brain to form sentences automatically. Another method is question-response drilling. Ask yourself simple questions in English and answer immediately, without overthinking. For example, what did I do this morning? I woke up early and checked my phone. This practice strengthens active recall, which is far more effective than passive learning. Use chunks and collocations, not single words. Instead of memorizing decision, learn make a decision. Instead of opinion, learn share an opinion. These fixed phrases reduce cognitive load and make speech smoother. Finally, accept imperfect grammar. Fluency comes before accuracy. Your brain needs speed first. Grammar refinement comes later. Think in meaning, not perfection.
Daniel, learners often memorize grammar rules but still sound unnatural when speaking. How can someone use grammar correctly while still sounding natural and modern in everyday English?
That's an excellent question, Emma, because grammar knowledge alone does not equal natural speech. The key difference lies in grammar awareness versus grammar performance. Many learners know rules intellectually but can't apply them automatically in conversation. To sound natural, learners must focus on functional grammar, not theoretical grammar. For example, instead of studying all uses of the present perfect, learn it through real phrases like, I've just finished work. I've never tried sushi. I've been thinking about that. These examples show present perfect tense used for recent actions, life experience, and ongoing thoughts. When grammar is learned through context, it becomes instinctive. Another important concept is sentence rhythm and reduction. Native speakers often shorten structures. I am going to becomes I'm gonna. I want to becomes I wanna. Understanding these reductions improves both listening and speaking fluency, even if learners choose not to use them formally. Also, use discourse markers such as actually, to be honest, you know, and I mean. These words don't change grammar, but they make speech sound human and conversational. Grammar accuracy improves through repetition with variation. For instance, practice conditional sentences like, if I had more time, I would travel. If I were you, I'd take that opportunity. These are examples of the second conditional, used for hypothetical situations. In short, Grammar should support communication, not control it. Learn grammar through patterns, phrases, and real-life use.
Daniel, vocabulary learning can feel overwhelming. There are thousands of words. How should learners prioritize vocabulary to speak English confidently and efficiently?
Vocabulary overload is real, Emma, and the solution is strategic selection. Learners don't need advanced or rare words to speak fluently. They need high-frequency, high-utility vocabulary. Start with core verbs like get, make, take, put, and go. These verbs are incredibly flexible. For example, get ready, get better, get involved. Make progress, make sense, make a difference. This demonstrates phrasal verb and collocation usage, which is essential for modern English. Next, focus on spoken synonyms instead of academic ones. For example, use help instead of assist. Use start instead of commence. Use fix instead of repair in casual speech. Another technique is topic-based vocabulary. Learn words connected to your life, work, technology, travel, relationships. If you talk about these topics often, your brain will retrieve vocabulary faster. Use sentence-level learning, not word lists. Instead of memorizing, efficient, learn. This method is really efficient. That's a more efficient way to do it. This reinforces grammar structure and word usage simultaneously. Finally, recycle vocabulary. Use new words in writing, speaking, and inner speech within 24 hours. This strengthens long-term memory encoding. Vocabulary isn't about quantity, it's about usability.
Daniel, many learners feel nervous or embarrassed when speaking English. How does mindset affect fluency? And how can learners build confidence?
Mindset is often more important than skill, Emma. Fear activates the brain's self-monitoring system, which slows speech and increases mistakes. Fluency requires psychological safety. First, learners must reframe mistakes as data, not failure. Every error shows what needs improvement. Native speakers make mistakes too. They simply keep going. Use progressive exposure. Start speaking English alone, then with one person, then in small groups. This builds confidence gradually. Practice formulaic expressions such as, "Let me think about that. That's a good question. What I mean is." These phrases give your brain time to organize thoughts and reduce anxiety. Confidence also comes from predictable structures. For example, using the Peel method in answers: point, explain, example, link. Finally, focus on communication success, not perfection. If your message is understood, you succeeded.
Daniel, how can learners improve pronunciation and sound clearer without losing their natural accent?
Clear pronunciation is about intelligibility, not accent removal. Focus on word stress, sentence stress, and connected speech. For example, in the sentence, "I didn't say you stole the money." Stress changes meaning. Learn weak forms: to, of, for, and. "I want to go" becomes "I want to go." Practice shadowing, listening and repeating simultaneously. This trains rhythm and intonation naturally. Pronunciation improves when learners focus on musicality, not individual sounds.
Daniel, we often tell learners to listen more if they want to speak better English, but many people don't really understand why listening is so important. Some learners listen to English every day, podcasts, movies, videos, but they still struggle to think or speak fluently. Why is listening such a crucial skill for training the brain to think in English? And how should learners listen correctly instead of passively?
That's a powerful question, Emma, because listening is not just a skill, it's the input system of the brain. If the input is weak or passive, the output, speaking, will always struggle. First, let's be clear, thinking in English is impossible without massive listening exposure. The brain learns language patterns subconsciously through repetition. This includes grammar structures, sentence rhythm, word order, and natural expressions. When learners say, "I know the grammar, but I can't speak," the real problem is often insufficient quality listening. Many learners listen passively. They play English in the background while cooking or scrolling on their phones. This kind of listening helps with familiarity, but it does not train the brain to respond in English. To do that, learners need active listening. Active listening means listening with intention. For example, listen for verb tenses. I've been working on this project for weeks. This sentence shows the present perfect continuous tense, used for ongoing actions that started in the past. Listen for functional phrases. That makes sense. I see what you mean. It depends on the situation. These phrases are far more useful than isolated vocabulary. Another key concept is prediction. When listening to a conversation, learners should ask themselves, what is this speaker likely to say next? This trains the brain to think forward in English, not backward through translation. Shadowing is another excellent technique. This means listening to a sentence and repeating it immediately, copying pronunciation, intonation, and speed. For example, speaker, I didn't expect it to turn out this way. Learner repeats immediately. This improves connected speech, sentence stress, and fluency all at once. Listening also builds automatic grammar recognition. Learners stop thinking, which tense is this, and start feeling what sounds right. This is how native speakers operate. Finally, learners must listen to real English, not overly scripted textbook audio. Podcasts, interviews, casual conversations, these expose learners to hesitation, reformulation, fillers like, you know, I mean, and actually. In short, listening is how the brain absorbs the music of English. Speaking is simply the echo.
Daniel, many learners feel motivated for a few days and then lose focus. They don't know how to organize their learning, and they often ask, what should I do every day? If someone is truly serious about training their brain to think and speak in English fluently, what kind of daily routine would you recommend? How can learners build a habit that actually works long-term?
This is the most practical question of all, Emma, because fluency is not built in 1 week, it's built through daily systems, not motivation. The biggest mistake learners make is trying to do too much. They study grammar for 2 hours one day, then do nothing for the next 5 days. The brain doesn't learn that way. The brain learns through consistent exposure and repetition. Let's talk about a realistic, effective daily routine. First, morning input. Spend 10 to 15 minutes listening to English. Not studying, just listening. A short podcast episode, a conversation, or part of a video. The goal is to wake the brain up in English. This creates mental readiness. Second, thinking practice during the day. This is crucial. Learners should practice inner speech. For example, I need to finish this task before lunch. I'll reply to that message later. These sentences use future forms and modal verbs, like need to, will, and should, which are essential for daily thinking. Third, controlled speaking practice in the evening. This could be speaking to yourself for 5 minutes, recording a voice note, answering one question out loud. For example, what did I learn today? Today, I learned how to use the present perfect more naturally. This reinforces past tense narration and reflection. Grammar should be reviewed lightly. Instead of memorizing rules, learners should notice patterns. I'm used to working late. I'm getting better at speaking. These structures show gerunds after prepositions and comparative forms. Finally, learners should end the day with self-feedback, not self-judgment. Did I use English today? Did I think in English, even briefly? Fluency grows quietly. When learners trust the process and show up daily, the brain adapts naturally. English doesn't need pressure. It needs presence.